What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the JoyToy Dark Source West Asian Mercenary Legion. This is Ramaz, and hopefully I'm saying that name right. I'm terrible with pronouncing names because I guess I'm just dumb. But anyway, this is the plethora of different Dark Source figures. This is a 1/18 scale, not a 1/24 scale figure. So this will kind of fit in with the rest of your 1/18 scale figures, like your Marauders, your G.I. Joes, etc. So if you have any questions about that, hopefully that answered that right away off the bat. Really cool line. I would like to pick up a couple more of these figures. Right off the bat, I just want to kind of point out some things. When you do get the figure, mine didn't come this way, and this was actually donated to me from Dem Guts. And bro, if you're watching, I really do appreciate this. This is, you guys know I don't ever ask for you guys to donate anything, but you know, Dem Guts hit me up, and I'm very appreciative of this. Like I said, if you guys want to send me stuff, you can. You don't have to, though. Don't feel obligated to do that. But anyway, I digress. Thank you so much to Dem Guts for this donation. I really do appreciate it. And this is, you know, these figures go for around the $30 price point. So I'm extremely appreciative of him donating this to the channel and to my collection. I mean, this will be hold a special place in my collection due to the donation. But yeah, this is a really cool looking figure. I love the design of him. Very nice. And like I said, I have some nitpicks about the figure. A couple quality control gripes that I have with it, excuse me. But overall, aesthetically, it is beautiful. It is a beautiful looking figure. Let me just get the figure out of the way here. We'll get him out of the way. We'll discuss the packaging really quick. I'll just go through it very short and sweet. It says Ramaz on the bottom. Or is it Ramaz? Ramaz? I believe it's Ramaz. But I could be wrong, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But anyway, it says West Asian Mercenary Legion. These are kind of like I guess he's like the army builder, but he still does have his own name, so I guess he is his own character, which I think is pretty cool about a lot of these JoyToy Dark Source figures, the 1/18 scale ones. They kind of, each one, even if it is a Legion builder, they kind of have their own identity, so you could make this a specific character if you wanted to. So there's the front. There's the side. There is the back artwork. Looks pretty cool. There's the other side. Mercenary Legion up top. And that's essentially it for the packaging. Now, the packaging does come in this slipcover. Let me just get that out, if I can do that. It does come in this slipcover like so. And then you have this little box. And then you open up the box, and you do have... Inside the box is actually this little kind of cryo chamber, I guess you could call it, which is actually a really cool little added bonus feature that the figure does come in, because you can use this for your diorama pieces, and it also has a little added bonus to it. It does stand up obviously on its own, so you can use this for dios, but it does open up in a very dramatic and cool way. This flips down, and you can see it's almost got like a little bit of footsteps or grip pads for in case you want to have them walk into the chamber. But the really cool thing is when you have a figure in there, or let's say you have a Joe in there or something like that, you could use that for that. You have this little switch up top right here, and it's like a little LED switch, and you turn that on. And let me turn my lighting off. And you've got some blue lighting right there, which is actually really cool if you wanted to use this for like a cryo chamber or some sort of detox chamber or an experimental chamber. Whatever you wanted to do, you could go that route. And it's got that cool little blue LED light right there. So, and it does illuminate everything pretty nicely on the inside. Turning that off and turning my lighting back on. Whoa, there's the bright lights. But it's a really cool design. Here is the overall sculpt of the chamber and everything. There's more than enough room. You could probably fit 2 figures in there if you wanted to. But there's the side and there's the back. And you can pull this apart if you want to. So there is that. So let's say you want to have someone break out, maybe Hulk style. It will split down the crease right here. You can spread those apart. So if that's what you want to do, your imagination is your journey. So you can go that route. So that's the packaging in a nutshell. I'm in a nutshell. How did I get in this nutshell? I don't know how to get out. Moving on to the figure itself, and just taking a look at him, like I said, aesthetically, he is very pleasing to the eye, and I love the soft goods with the plastics mixed. I've always been a big fan of that since the Black Series kind of initiated that years ago, and then now it's continued with a lot of 1/18 scale. I would actually say that the soft goods with the plastics actually started with Pursuit of Cobra, as far as 1/18 scale figures go, and that was back in 2010, 2011. So pretty cool that we're getting it here. It's kind of like almost like a burlap type of texture we're getting with the soft goods right here, and then down here it's kind of like a little scarf and whatnot for whatever wind or whatever conditions he's going to put himself through. Kind of looks like, since he's sleeveless, like maybe a desert or some sort of hot marshlands or something like that. But pretty cool nonetheless. I kind of wish that this helmet was removable, but it is not removable, unfortunately. Not the end of the world, though, with that. I do have to start. I do want to actually kind of point out some gripes, though, when I get to it, and then I'll kind of point out the rest of the really cool features that he does have. My first gripe was when I received the figure, and I was talking to Dem Guts about it when I received the figure, and thanked him tremendously. I told him, I was like, hey man, I think he's missing some parts, because on the promo packaging for him, it shows him with a rifle. Now, it didn't come with a rifle initially, and he let me know, he actually informed me that sometimes JoyToy will forget to put things in the packaging. So that's one kind of quality control mark, I guess, against them that I didn't know about. Going into this, as I was going to pick up some figures from the line, I kind of didn't know too much about it, so I did look up some reviews prior to even getting this figure. And I didn't hear too much about any quality control concerns, but I guess maybe, the word of mouth has gotten a little bit larger. But he did not include his rifle that you see him with right here. He did come with his bipod, though, which is now attached to the rifle. And he came with a pistol and a knife sheath, which is actually on his, the pistol's on his side right there. And then we have the knife sheath that I kind of fit inside, or on the back of his backpack. It's kind of like a backpack clasp. But he does come with a knife, and the sheath is separate piece also. So if you wanted to remove that, you could. If you really wanted to, you can take that out, and it is a separate piece. And then you could take the knife out like so. So there you go as far as that. Any concerns about the knife? The rest of the figure is kind of semi-modular. A lot of pieces don't come attached to the figure, but mine did come all attached for some reason. I'm not sure if JoyToy just threw it in the box, and maybe I had just like a quality control figure, something like that, where everything was already attached. But you can pretty much attach all of the pockets that you see on him. They're kind of like a hook. Some of them you actually glue on, like these. I think these are glued on. And then some you kind of clasp on. Like you see how that's wiggling about? There's like a little like hook clasp. Same thing goes for this pocket right here. So anything around the belt you can kind of hook on. But I believe these are all glued on. Including that smoke grenade right there. So just to point it out, he is like semi-modular when you get him. As far as the price point, that's kind of my other gripe with these. They do run $30, and that's kind of a tough sell for me as far as that's concerned. And everywhere I've seen them, they do go for around $30. I'm sure if you go to an overseas seller, they'll probably sell them for around $18, I think. There's a couple reviewers that are actually overseas and picked them up in China, and they said that they spent around $16 to $18 picking each one of these up. And it's a lot cheaper overseas, but they also live overseas. So to me, whenever there's a specialty item, you know, obviously you're going to spend a little bit more. That's just the way it is. It's the same thing with SH Figuarts. It's the same thing with anything that's overseas, especially these JoyToy or Acid Rain figures. You're going to pay a little bit more of a premium because they are a specialty item. It's just the way it kind of works. Same thing with Mayfax. It's just they charge more due to that. And the other crux is that even when you buy these from an overseas seller, you're still going to pay like $15 to $20 for shipping, which is just, that's crazy. So it almost kind of equals out to what the U.S. sellers are selling them for. It's close. It might not be exactly on point, but it's just something to point out. That's kind of the dichotomy I've found with a lot of overseas action figures. But you know, $30. I kind of wish that he came with a little bit more. I mean, he's kind of basic. He's a little bit basic. I kind of wish that, you know, it's cool that he comes with his rifle and a bipod that's removable, and you know, the knife, the sheath, and the gun, and he is semi-modular. But I kind of wish that he came with an unmasked head so I can really kind of figure out who this guy is and see and build from there. You can remove the rifle from his hand, and you can pose him. He doesn't, not a whole lot gets in the way. Some pockets do get in the way, but if you want to just have him standing vanilla, you can have him standing vanilla, and he looks pretty natural. I like it. Obviously, move this hand over, kind of spread his legs out so he's now standing pretty neutral. But I think he looks really good. I love the sculpt of the helmet. It's not overdone like Acid Rain's paint apps too. He doesn't look like he rolled around in mud. You know, some people just put too much paint shading on figures, and it kind of takes away from the aesthetics of the figure looking presentable, I guess. That's kind of the major glaring issue I had with Acid Rain figures. I only own one, and he doesn't actually, the one I owned actually isn't that bad, but a lot of the Acid Rain figures just look like they rolled in feces or some sort of dirt or something, mud. I don't know. But these don't really suffer from that too much. You can see some paint shading going throughout some of the pockets, a little bit of the helmet, but it's not overdone. So it's a really good happy medium as far as that's concerned. The legs look really cool. I like the knee pads are a little bit dirtied up, but not crazy dirtied up. You know, I mean, this is technically war, so I do get that. You know, you're going to get a little dirtied up. I don't need everything to look crisp and clean. But find that happy medium. That is the major important part of the overall look and feel of a figure. You know, there's a little bit of like dirt right here. It kind of looks like there's a little bit of glue right there for the scarf piece right here. So I'm not sure if that was intended. Probably was. Maybe the glue just changed the color of the scarf. Not the biggest deal in the world. It doesn't even bother me one bit, actually. But he does have some grenades right here, and everything does have a little bit of paint shading going throughout this back pocket. Whatever this device is right here, maybe it's like a some sort of I don't know, a detonator or something like that. That is one big round red button. Don't hit the red button. Don't hit the red button. Don't hit the red button. Uh-oh, I hit it. And I'm just kidding. Anyway, so bad jokes aside, this kind of like reminds me of some sort of Claymore or something. I don't know why. It's just giving off that Claymore feel to me. Maybe that, or like a tin box or something. Obviously, it's probably meant for utility. It does have a grenade on each side, so that kind of makes me think that maybe that's a Claymore. I don't know. I wouldn't want a Claymore strapped to my chest, though. I'll tell you that. So maybe it's not. These front pockets look really good going around the side. Nice little mixed and flow as far as the differentiation with the pockets right here. You've got a different style pocket here, 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 and here. Even the clasps are different on them. So really nice differentiation. Nice to switch things up between so it's not breaks up the monotony of the figure. The thigh pads right here look really cool. He's got a couple extra ammo magazines right there, which is pretty cool. And then on this side you can see he has his holster, which looks really good, and you can remove the gun from the holster like so. And everything's getting in the way, so I'm going to put my pointer down, and I'm dropping things, which is great. The pistol itself looks very much kind of like a, I don't know, I want to say like an M9 Beretta. I don't know why this isn't focusing. I got to back up a little bit. There we go. So it kind of looks like an M9 Beretta. There's no trigger or anything like that. These guys don't come with, and girls, excuse me, they don't come with trigger fingers, so you just kind of lay their hands over the trigger guard to give the illusion that they are holding onto a trigger. So there's that little bit. I already showed you the knife and the sheath, and I just kind of put it there. You don't have to put it in this position, but I didn't find any other spot on him to really put it anywhere. The holster is a nice solid feeling material, and the gun does clip right into there. It does go right in. You don't really have too many issues with this falling out or anything like that, so not too many issues there. The feet are pretty cool. Oop, focus, there we go. I like the shin armor. It is a little bit loose. It's kind of meant to be loose. You can glue it into place if you wanted to, so it won't move around. I believe the knee pads are also gluable. The thigh pads are gluable. Everything kind of does move around a little bit. So, like I said, he is semi-modular. You don't necessarily have to have him with all this armor on if you don't want to. But, you know, the one thing I kind of wish was modular or removable was the helmet. I would like to see like what he looks like underneath his NVG goggles. They look really cool. I really do dig them quite a bit. It's a very nice tactical look that he does have. And then moving on to the last piece of the puzzle here, which is the rifle itself. You know what? I gotta say, it kind of looks like a cross between an like a I don't know, like a M14 carbine and a Dragunov. You know, that back, that stock kind of gives off that Dragunov look, and then from here forward kind of gives off that M14 carbine look to me. I don't know, maybe I'm a little off, but that's what it gives off to me. It does come with a suppressor on there, so this does feel more like maybe like a semi-automatic assault rifle / sniper rifle. You could use it for either or. It does come with a scope. The scope doesn't have too much detail there. The barrel does not have a barrel hole on it. Let me back up a little bit. I'm too close there. There you go. As you can see, there's no barrel hole there. Not that it really matters to me, but some people it does. There is light paint shading going throughout the rifle itself. It's kind of like almost like a rusty, like reddish, orangish look to me, but it does give off that little bit of like rusty feel to it, with a little bit of gray paint shading going throughout as well. So really nice flow of colors going throughout to really bring this rifle to life. Okay, as far as his articulation does go, let me get my hand around here. There we go. The head can swivel at a full 360 rotation if you needed to. The head does have a hinge joint, but everything is kind of hindered due to this soft goods and then the sculpting of kind of the tack vest right here. But there is a hinge joint where you can get his head to look kind of further back. With other characters, like the, what was it? I think his name, it's not Boris. I can't think of it. I think it's Otar, which I really want to get him next. He's kind of the designated sniper of the team. As you can see, the head did pop off, but you can get more motion backwards with that neck peg. It's just kind of hindered due to a lot of the stuff going on around his neck. And you can pop the head back on, no issue there at all. So it's kind of on like a ball peg joint, but with like Otar, you can get his head all the way back, kind of similar to what some of the Acid Brain figures can do as far as getting them into a prone sniper position. So they are capable of doing that, just to point that out. The arms do go up about that far. They go down, a full 360 rotation. And you know what, I gotta point this out too, before I move on with the rest of the articulation, is that a lot of him feels very solid. He doesn't feel chintzy or like he's going to break or anything like that. He feels solid, and that's a good feel to have. He does also bend at the elbow there. He does swivel at the elbow as well. Let me refocus. Swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint, which goes back and forth. And this one goes up and down for those gun positions. So he's a right-hander, mostly. Not saying that you can't get the gun into his left hand, but the swivels go differently. And if you want to have him looking down the sight, you kind of need that hinge joint going that way for that one. He does have a waist swivel. It is very hindered. He does actually have a crunch too, but it's also very hindered due to the tack vest, but it is there. It's just something that I want to point out. But he can pivot side to side. Let me see. We got some jive turkeys up in here. So there's the jive turkeys. He can do the splits about that far, which is pretty good. Legs go forward. Legs go back. He does have an upper thigh swivel. It's all the way up where the thigh swivel kind of should be. So it's all the way up near the hip joint. And then he does have a double jointed knee. He does have a ankle swivel up at the boot. So boot swivel, excuse me. And then he does have ankle pivot. He does have an ankle hinge, which can point the toe. He can point the heel a little bit. He does have toe articulation as well. And 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. So the next segment I'd like to talk about is kind of his posability. He is quite posable. I do have some issues with his hips. The legs do tend to pop out a little bit easier than I like. Maybe that's kind of like a personal preference thing. Sometimes it doesn't bother people. It's not nearly as bad as like the older Mafex figures that the arms used to pop out of the socket easily. It's not as bad as Storm Collectibles with limbs popping out of sockets. But, you know, when you get to a certain breaking point, not literally breaking, but metaphorically speaking, when you do get to a breaking point with the figure, you will start to notice that it might pop out of place. And just to kind of point that out, let me show you what I'm talking about. If you get this leg up and then start bending this leg, and then you get this to go a certain way, I mean, I guess it's not too bad at all, but his legs have popped out on me a couple times. So I kind of wish that they would have maybe worked on the hips a little bit more and maybe taken away the toe articulation, because I find myself not really using it too much to kind of get him in a balanced stance. He always is just keeping his foot straight, and then if I do bend it, he's kind of leaning back a little bit on that for that toe joint. And I'll just show you what I mean by when I say that. If I try to get this lined up properly like that, I mean, it's good for squatting. Don't get me wrong. If he's squatting there like this, and he's gotta take a poop. I don't know. But as you can see, the leg did pop out. So there is a point or a limit, I should say, to where his range of motion is in the legs, as far as bending or moving those thigh joints. So it's just something to point out. Also, these do tend to move around a little bit. You could just glue them in place, but they do tend to move. It's fine for me. I don't think I'm actually going to glue them. I mean, I could, but as far as that's concerned. But I don't have any issues with him like holding a rifle or anything like that. This hand is a little bit stiff, but that's nothing that you can't work with. He does hold the gun nicely, so you don't have really too many issues. Let me just get him kind of looking down the sights here. Hopefully his hand doesn't look like he's breaking his hand here. But you can get him to grip that. I just kind of have to work with that hand a little bit more. But he does really look down the sights beautifully. So you don't have any issues with that at all. So that's a really nice kind of pose for him. Just rotate him a little bit. Oop, oop, oop. There you go. As you can see right there, he's looking down the sights very nicely. He's got his eye, his right eye looking down the sight perfectly. Looks very good, very pleasing, and no issues there. Overall, like I said, aesthetically, he looks so damn good. I was very surprised that mine was brand new and came with everything kind of attached already, because these guys are supposed to come with everything kind of loose on them, and then you put everything on them. So I was kind of surprised with that, so maybe I just got a very odd quality control figure. Overall, it's a really nice figure. Is it worth the $30 though? That's kind of a tough sell for me. I've noticed that a lot of 3 3/4 inch figures are kind of heading up towards that price point when it's a specialty item or an overseas item, excuse me. Hopefully it doesn't keep going that route, but I know a lot of specialty items do cost a little bit more due to being a smaller company, the resources that they have, and trying to keep costs down as much as possible. So but the paint apps are really on point. The $30 price point might be a deal breaker for a lot of people, because that's really pushing it. I mean, they are more than a retail figure, but these aren't retail figures in that same point. So when you do have a specialty item, you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium on it. Okay, as far as size comparisons go, here he is with an O-ringer. This is Shipwreck version 2.0, aka Stinky Diver. Okay, next up we've got him with a Zombie Lab figure. So there you go with that comparison right there. Next up, we've got him with a new sculpt era. This is Overkill right here from the Bat Attack 6-pack. Next up, we've got him with a 25th anniversary figure from G.I. Joe. This is Wraith. Okay, and next up, we've got him with Resolute Flint, which is my personal favorite Flint design. So if you haven't picked up this Flint, go get him. Okay, next up we got him with a female Marauders figure. This is a Valkyrie, so that's how the females stack up with him. Okay, and lastly, we've got a male Marauder body next to him, so that's how they stack up. Okay, so my overall thoughts on the JoyToy Dark Source Ramaz is I definitely like the figure a lot. I'm definitely intrigued with the line. It's definitely got me intrigued to get more. It got me interested in enough to get more. Once you loosen up that left hand, which was a little bit sticky on me, he can hold his rifle just fine. You don't have to work with it too much. There's actually just a little bit of glue stuck to his finger from his thumb to his index finger, so I just separated that really quick. I think it was just another QC issue with the hand. It's not a big deal at all. Just wanted to point out because I didn't have him holding the rifle like that earlier. Anyway, I digress. I like, aesthetically, he looks great. He does have his little quirks, but I don't think it's anything really too much to gripe about. The legs popping off, as you can see, I specifically wanted to do a wide stance here, so you could see that, you know, the legs, while I did point out that the hips and the legs do pop out from the hip joints a little bit too much more than I like, you could still get him into a great pose and not have to worry about it too much. The paint shading I love. The overall sculpt and design of the figure I love. I like that we got a darker skin-toned figure. I dig that quite a bit. He is a little bit on the, I want to say a little bit on the shorter side as far as scale goes, 1/18 scale, as you can see within the size comparisons I did. But I don't think it takes away too much. He could just be a shorter character. No big deal there. I love the NVG goggles with the helmet. I just kind of wish that we got a little bit more with him at that $30 price point. Maybe an unmasked head, maybe an extra weapon, something else with him. It's cool that the bipod is removable. It's cool. I like the pistol. I like the knife. The knife is a little bit loose in his hand. I did notice that after the hands do get a little bit stretchy, but you can reform the hand into a tighter grip as well, and he can hold it, but it is still a little bit loose in those hands. The only other thing that I wanted to point out was the things that were missing with the figure, but overall I didn't really have too much of an issue, and I really do have to say again, I got to thank Demguts for sending me an extra rifle, which was really cool, and I know he's getting a replacement part sent, but he went out of his way to send me this figure for free, which was so nice, and then on top of that, send me a rifle and right away, and so I guess he's waiting on the replacement part. So thank you so much, Demguts, and please give him a thumbs up in the comments, guys. He's a very nice dude, and didn't have to do this, but I am very appreciative of that. Like I said, I would definitely give this figure a 2 thumbs up. I have a lot of fun posing him. There's 2 Dark Source thumbs up. 2 Merc thumbs up right there. But yeah, overall I have a lot of fun playing with this figure. This figure has not really left my hand too much since getting him. And overall, I like the designs of that, or the design of that rifle as well. It's kind of not a cut and dry, reality-based rifle. It's kind of a mix and match of both. Like I said, an M14 carbine and a Dragunov with that stock. It just looks very unique and cool, but not too much taken away from reality. Where you see the pistol and such. I love the tack vest. That's very cool. It is removable, so you can take that off. As you can see, the clip piece in the back and on the sides. So you can remove that if needed. But yeah, overall, I would definitely suggest getting one of these if you do have the budget for it. Like I said, it does garnish a $30 price point if you buy it from a U.S. seller. Maybe a little bit less. Maybe you save a little bit money if you go overseas. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.